anyway, I had to go to county lockup 30 days, and I got out, and my friends, like any good military friend should do, said, "You want to like pay rent or get food? No, let's throw a party and invite whores and have a gangbang."
We just
Oh,
talking
hey.
shit this episode, or we got an agenda?
Nah, man, we just talking shit. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
what I was thinking is that why do some chapters in a club not do so well, and other chapters just seem to have the golden touch? What's the
Well,
magic there?
I
Man,
think
it's so good. I got a fucking phone call about that this morning. It's perfect.
Well, fuck it, man. We ain't even doing the intro. We already recording, so let's roll right into it.
Oh shit!
Oh
Welcome
shit!
back, Four for the Road, everybody.
Yeah, well, this is your host, NoShame, NoShame, his dudeness, and your favorite punk rock. So yeah, man, let's jump right into that, Drifter. What you got?
So, in any large nation, you'll have some chapters that are doing okay. You have some chapters that are always on the verge of falling apart, and there's some chapters that just seem to have the magic touch. What is that magic touch? Why do some chapters do so well? Is it leadership? Is it caliber of people? Is it everything? What's the magic there? How do you do that?
I think it's a mix of a little bit of everything that you just said. You know, you have the right leaders that know how to lead properly, because you can't speak to everybody the same way and have the same message received. On top of that, I think prospecting has a lot to do with it. If you have one chapter that takes it extremely seriously and take the hang around period extremely seriously, I think that they'll help weed out a lot of people that could end up being a patch holder for maybe a year, maybe two, and then leaving. But I think it just comes down to, you know, having actual leaders, taking the process seriously, and holding people accountable.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of different things. You know, then there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Everything that you said, you know, it fits the bill. But there's so many different metrics that you could judge the success of a chapter on, and so many different metrics that you could judge the failure of a chapter on. So this is like actually a really like multi-layered, really deep issue that you could really dive into. You know, is you know, what is making, you know, if there's successful chapters in a nation, then you rule out that it's the nation's fault. You know, because if somebody's being able to flourish, then everybody should be able to flourish. But you know, you could also look at that aspect of it a little bit deeper. Maybe some people have better relationships, and their leadership is able to communicate with the regional leadership and the national leadership on a better level, and you know, they're able to get their concerns across, and they're able to get the support that they need. But if you're looking at it from a point of accountability and a point of ownership, it really always boils down to, what is the leadership in that chapter doing? I think you can boil every issue down to a leadership success or a leadership failure. You know, because at some point, as a good leader of a group of men, you need to be able to, you know, step back and evaluate and find out, what are my issues? What are the things that we as an organization are succeeding in and failing in? And how do I fix that? And if I can't fix that, maybe it's time to step down and let somebody else take the reins.
A common thread that I've seen for chapters that aren't doing well is none of the guys seem to like each other. You know, or this group doesn't like that group. So what's behind that? How do you fix that?
Miles?
You know what's funny to me is, I'm sure anybody who's been in a large organization has seen that, you know, when a chapter gets too big, and then, you know, cliques start to form and the chapters end up breaking off. But I don't know if anybody's like seen like one guy or two guys, you know, like a small clique of people that, you know, they end up in like a new chapter all the time, or you know, maybe even they leave their club and they start a new club, or they leave this organization, go to that organization, and it seems like the trouble always follows them. You know, and I think that's like, you know, one of the big things that you see, you know, in large nations, is you get like a cancer like that in there. You know, some guy that can sweet talk his way in. You know, maybe he's charismatic. He gets a small following of people, and then, you know, he kind of organizes this little coup. Maybe gets like a group of guys to leave with him, or a group of guys to, branch off and start a new chapter with him and whatnot. And then, it doesn't have the ingredients for long-term success, because that same guy's personality flaws are going to start coming out. He's going to end up not being able to form the relationships in that new organization that he also couldn't form in the old organization. It's on, like I said, all things are leadership. It's on different levels of leadership to recognize that and to remove those cancers from the equation.
Well, I like that you brought up too. It depends on what type of success are we looking at. Because what's that cliche saying? Like, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. You could look at, okay, cool. This chapter doesn't bust state lines a whole lot, but they're always together. They're always doing shit, and there's nobody fucking tighter than that crew. Okay, then I would call that a successful chapter, where other people would say, no, they don't fucking ride enough. They're not going through state lines, at least twice a month. Fuck that. They don't ride enough. That's a failed chapter. But there's also no fucking drama coming from it, because Timmy and Billy can't get along. I call that a successful chapter.
Fucking bikers are addicted to drama, aren't they?
Fucking are.
It is worse than a sewing circle sometimes. It is.
Sure as hell is.
And yeah, for a
So,
bunch
yeah,
of
I agree with that.
men that fucking take like so much pride in being these macho fucking individuals, we sure do love to gossip, don't we?
Yeah, man. You know what I've been, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. That's something that I find real fucking funny, is that, people think that to be in a club or to be a biker instead of a motorcycle enthusiast, you got to be this big bad motherfucker. And dude, some of the most solid dudes that I know, I have watched voluntarily sing like In Sync karaoke or 98 Degrees karaoke, and it's fucking just them being authentic and having a fucking great time. And who the fuck is gonna walk up to this dude that's tattooed from his fucking forehead to his toes and run up and be like, you're a fucking faggot because you like Backstreet Boys? Fucking nobody is.
Dude,
that.
my go-to song for karaoke is 4 Non-Blondes of that. Hey, hey, hey.
Yes.
Shit.
Fuck that. Go all out, man. Stand by your man. That's your karaoke.
Ooh, there you go. I'm more of a bye kind of guy. Just me, though. Just me.
So I like what you said there about what you have different metrics for what success looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the biggest things would be is if other guys in that nation wanted to be in your chapter. If you have outsiders looking in and going, holy crap, I want what that chapter has. I think that is success.
And the funny thing to me is, I don't know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here or anything, but I started a new chapter in my nation coming up on a year ago now, and it was just really funny to me, like how as soon as it started and we started getting some success and people started seeing what we were building, because it was built very specifically for a very specific purpose and using specific individuals. And I would get phone calls of people that are saying, like, from neighboring chapters, like, hey, what do I have to do to transfer to you?
Yeah.
Why do you want to transfer to me? It's like, well, I got all these ideas, blah blah blah. But the funny thing is I would have like 3-4 guys from one chapter that would call me and say, like, hey, I want to come over to you. Like, I like what you're doing over there, blah blah blah. And eventually, like, once the 4th guy kind of called me, I was like, like, there's other people in your chapter that want the same things that you want. He's like, oh yeah, a lot of us do. I was like, yeah. So why don't you do it? Like, why do you have to come here? Like, you live 30 miles away from me. Why do you want to come join my chapter when you have people in your own backyard that want the exact same things you want? Do the work and put the fucking effort in and make my chapter the same as your chapter. Do the same shit over there. It's just funny that you bring that up.
I'm a firm believer that guys have to have jobs, man. You got to have a job in a chapter, even if you're the regular guy sitting in the back. You still have a job. So I think one of the main keys that leadership needs to do is make sure that everyone's employed. Everyone has something to do, something to contribute, because then everybody gets buy-in on the whole chapter, and that leads to a certain sense of feeling, a certain team, because it's all volunteer. Let's admit it. This is not like the military where you're told you'll be here and do this. It really is all volunteer. So voluntary. So you need to make it enjoyable, make it something that they're going to prioritize. I think jobs do that.
I think communication is a big thing. Um, yeah, having jobs so you feel like you own a part of it. I think that's pretty huge. But if you communicate, there's no problem that you can run across that can not be fixed. In my opinion, not a single one. And like he's saying, you know, well, there's 3 or 4 dudes from your charter that feel the exact same way you do. Why don't you just talk to your charter about it? If it's writing, because that was a problem that my former club had, is nobody wanted to ride, but it was like one dude hitting up like 2 dudes out of the whole club saying, "Hey, let's go ride," and they both work weekends. And I was like, "Fuck, man, nobody wants to ride." It's like, well, shit, dude. Like, I didn't, I thought, I got people's work schedules mixed up. I thought I was the only one that was off today. I didn't know that everybody was off today. So, communication, man, it fixes everything.
Well, I agree. Communication, and there's another aspect of that. It kind of falls into communication. So let's be honest. Guys, sometimes we don't put our feelings, our emotions. We might feel a certain way about a brother. We might love that brother, but you don't really say it. You don't really put it out there. You're afraid somebody's going to go fag, or whatever. So if you want your chapter to be really close knit, and you're going to have to open up. You're going to have to let these guys know, fucking dude, I love you. That's how it is. And then you build from there.
I tell my brothers that I'm real close with, that I love them every time that we talk, every time we get off the phone. And if you're in this for the brotherhood, like everybody says they're in it, there's what is the problem with that? If you do not love the men that are to your left and right, that's the issue.
I agree, 100%.
One of the things that you were talking about was fuck, I've totally forgot, but I do remember one thing. For legal purposes, Ken reminded me of it. I probably should say that I'm in a charter, not a chapter. So, ATF, FBI, whoever's listening, I'm in a charter.
Yeah, I'm in a charter as well.
Legal disclaimer.
Yeah, fuck you, Jerry.
Fucking Jerry.
We have a charter that says Jerry's a cocksucker.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say now. You were talking about communication. A big thing too is the communication in the right setting. So, like one of the things that you deal with when dealing with different charters is that one person's actions, like that may be in a different charter than you, they might not seem like up to your standard, or you might not understand them, or they might rub you the wrong way. And I went through this personally when I was dealing with like it's no secret, one of my really close brothers passed away recently, and there was a guy that I didn't see at his funeral, and then he posted like a picture on our chat thing of him like doing something else later in the night, and I was like feeling some type of way about it, and I knew that I was emotional, and that I might not have been reacting in the right way, but how big of an ass would I have looked like if I called him out in front of everybody and then ended up being wrong? So luckily I had the foresight to kind of think about that, and just the tact to handle things in the right way. So instead of doing that, I just ended up calling his president a little bit later and just telling him like, hey man, like when one of your guys is, I don't know the full situation, but I didn't see him at the funeral. He's posting these pictures of him like doing this stuff later on in the night. Like, what's up with it? And he ended up telling me like, oh no, he was at the funeral he was just on the security detail. He was outside, and he was there since like 5 in the morning and shit. And like now I like feel like a dick because like, oh, okay, this fucking guy like volunteered. I just didn't see him because I was dealing with so much other shit at the time. And then it turns out that it was his birthday that day, and his wife had bought him these like had these plans set aside for him for months and all this stuff like that. So that's why he wasn't at like the repast, and he was doing something else or whatnot. So it's just one of those things. Like if I would have communicated that inappropriately, I'm still communicating what I'm feeling. I'm still communicating what's bothering me. But if I would have done it in the wrong setting, it not only would I have looked like a jackass, but this person would have looked at me like differently forever, because I'm jumping to conclusions about them. So that's a lot of it is knowing what's appropriate, where's the appropriate setting to have a conversation, and it even comes down to like if you got some chat platform that you're using, what chat room is the most appropriate place to put this conversation, and it's a lot of tact goes into communication with when you're dealing with large organizations.
Yeah, see, I'm more of an air this bitch out kind of guy. I'm kidding. I'm not.
All right, double barrel.
I'm not. No, he is retired. All right. When's the last time you saw me go off on somebody? Except for the episode that I haven't posted yet.
Well, you just made Jim leave, so.
Well, there's that. But fucking Jim.
I was like, he's holding really still. And it turns out he's all frozen, apparently.
It's all that Navy Special Warfare training he went through back.
He's blending in with his environment slowly.
He can slow his heartbeat down so he doesn't show up on certain monitors.
I wonder if he's coming back.
We'll see. Yeah. But no, man, I like that you added that too. That there's a setting for it, because you're absolutely right. Had you just aired that out, you would have looked like an asshole, and you would have lost the respect of a lot of people. But because you had that tact and you brought it up to his leadership, and his leadership said, "Hey, man, like I totally understand where you're coming from. You might have missed him because you do have all this other stuff going on. This is what was actually going down. And in this case, perception was not reality." Yeah, and I think you made the right call there, and I commend you for that, because a lot of dudes I don't think would have. I think a lot of dudes would have just aired that shit out as soon as they had an issue with it.
Yeah, by a lot of dudes, you mean me. I would have done that.
What's that, Jim?
I would have been that guy.
You would have just aired it out. Fuck it.
Yeah, and that's a flaw that I need to fix, but yeah, that would have been me.
Well, at least you're better than the guy that just calls another dude and talks shit about the dude behind his back, because that's far more detrimental than just airing out shit in front of the group. I would rather have somebody preemptively call me out, and then we have to like go through all this process in public, versus somebody that doesn't ever bring it to my attention and calls our brother behind my back, or God forbid somebody outside of our organization behind my back and starts talking shit about me.
Ooh, that's a problem right there.
Yeah. No, I have a hot temper, so if something happens, something goes off.
Jimbo is a temper? No.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! It's not good.
I think everybody in NSW has to have this like wild fucking mean streak, but they keep a lid on it so well that you never know.
Yeah, not so well sometimes.
I brake checked a guy that was in fucking naval special warfare. He was in plain clothes or whatever, and he was like driving like a douchebag, and he was tailgating me, and I fucking brake checked him. I didn't know who the guy was, and he followed me on post to like the shopette and started like losing his shit on me in the parking lot. And I was like, dude, I mean, if you want to fight me, we can fight, but like I got shit to do. So like, and he's like, oh, I'm fucking so and so from this fucking thing, blah blah blah. I was like, all right, chief, have a good day. Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, here's my sergeant major's name. He'll fucking chew you out more than I can. So have a good day, motherfucker. Yeah.
the direction in which you may fuck.
Yeah.
That actually brings up a good point because whether it's military or motorcycle clubs, some guy's entire identity is wrapped up in their rank or their patch or whatever, man, and that just leads to bad shit happening in the future.
Well, that's one thing that you know it's important that leaders understand is that if you ever have to pull rank, then you failed somewhere along the line. Your influence and your power should come from a place of respect and not a place of position. That the position is just that's an administrative title. You know, people should follow you if you have the right president in your organization, the right vice president. People should follow them whether they had that patch on or whether they didn't have the patch on. And if
Exactly.
it's anything else, then you picked the wrong guy.
And by having the right guy, when mistakes are made, there's that goodwill that's in the bank. So you can just draw on some of that and it's going to be okay. You can get through the mistakes, but it takes a good leader.
Yeah, that's another thing that I see being a big issue is zero tolerance for failure. It's. I mean, I'm not trying to speak on the 1% side, but I would like to believe that applies to this as well. And NoShame's going to stop me when I start lying.
Stop.
But and you're done. But seriously, like we're all men, we're all human beings. We make mistakes. We at times we're lucky that we have leadership who is able to compartmentalize their emotion, just look at the fact and say, well, this is what it is. Unfortunately, there's other times where we don't, and they're fueled by their emotions as well, and that leads the club down a bad path. But a good leader will realize that, stop it before it gets too bad, before it gets beyond repair, rather.
I think there's scenarios and situations that, even, regular mom and pop clubs find themselves in just as much as, outlawing 1% clubs find themselves in, where you are in, a zero failure situation, and that could be something as everyday as riding in a pack. There are things that happen when you are riding in a large group of people that you cannot allow, and that a failure is so likely to cause an injury that you can't tolerate those things. But then there's other things where it doesn't apply. And all three of us, we have military backgrounds, so I'm sure we're all familiar with a command that you were in, or maybe echelons above you where they had like a zero failure policy. Even when it came to training, and it was never something that I tolerated. Beyond me. You can yell at me all you want. I'm not going to yell at my guys because they made a mistake. There's things that and then situations that you need to allow people to make mistakes, and that's how people grow. And there's sticking a new patch member in the road captain position, and just knowing that he's going to make little mistakes here and there. Let him make those mistakes. You expect them. That's when he's supposed to make the mistakes. When you guys are on a known route and you're going from here to here and everybody knows the roads, put them in positions where it's okay for them to fail. And then when they fail, use it as a teachable moment as opposed to chewing their ass for it.
Sounds like a good leader to me.
Well, damn.
Yeah, well,
I got nothing really to follow that.
What are some other reasons that some chapters suck bags of dick and the other chapters are getting their dick sucked?
I think a lot of it has to do with miles put in. I'm not one of those guys that thinks that you have to bust state lines every fucking weekend to be called a fighter. If you are always seen doing shit with your brothers and people see that you have that closeness and they look at you with envy, I think that's how you know you made it. People want what you have. They just don't know how to put in the work. And then you can double down on all of that fellowship that you have with your brothers. And then together you can mentor another club to be how you are, to achieve that level of dedication and brotherhood within their own club. And you can look at them whenever somebody, you could be sitting at a fucking bar or a coffee shop, whatever, and somebody comes up and say, "Hey man, like, have you heard about this club too? They're doing great things, blah, blah, blah." And now you just like, yeah, like I helped build that, because that also gives them purpose. We're talking about having jobs, mentorship. That's a big fucking thing.
Well,
And it happens in and outside of your club.
I think you're describing the answer to, or you're describing something that will get you to what the underlying issue is. The underlying issue is you have to feel like you're part of a team, and that goes from riding miles, but it goes from stupid little shit too. Like, so my charter's number is 10. I swear to God, you can't get two of us together without somebody yelling as loud as they can, fucking 10. So much so that the other chapters they've had it. But the 10 boys, when we're around, everybody knows we're around. And that's you just build that team.
Yeah. One of the things that you guys both touched on is miles, and like, how important is that? Like, how many bonds have been made over like a shit time on the road? How many fucking problems have been solved when people actually start riding together? I was talking to one of my nomads a while ago, and he was telling me like, like one of the big things that, if I find a chapter that's got a lot of dissension and they're not functioning well, the first question I ask is, when's the last time you guys rode together? And, it's one of those big fucking things that like people overlook, and it's like, but it makes the most sense. It's like the simplest solution, because we're in fucking motorcycle clubs. If we're not riding together, like, why are we in motorcycle clubs? One of the things he was telling me is that like the chapters that I find that have the most internal problems never ride together. They're always, it's not that they don't ride their motorcycles, they're just not riding together. And beyond that, like when there's two chapters that are having like a beef between themselves, how quickly does that beef go away when you make them ride to the next event together? Hey, you guys are going to link up here and you're going to push down the nationals together. And you would be fucking amazed at how quickly all of those problems just disappear.
Exactly. Especially if it's cold, wet, rainy,
Oh, the
super hot.
shittier the better.
Yeah. Because you build those stories together. You build that team. You have a shared experience. That's why, you go to boot camp, you get the shit beat out of you. You go to any selection course, you get the shit beat out of you. But I guarantee you, if you make it through that selection course, you'll never forget those guys you went through it with. They'll be lifelong brothers.
When I was going down to Houston, I might have spoke on this already, but when I was going down to Houston earlier in the summer, there was a point in time where we were just getting dumped on by rain, thunderstorms and shit. And, the majority of the pack wanted to wrap it up for the night. And it happened to be me and a president of another charter that were, riding in the same pack together. And, we had previously not had any opportunities to like really get to know each other. And there had in the past been like certain tensions, between charters or whatever, nothing too serious, but
Sure.
little
Just
things
normal.
popped up here and there. But we looked at it as an opportunity to like, me and this guy can really get to know each other right now, and it'll help me understand when he does something differently than I would have done it. So we ended up riding like 24 hours straight from that point. Like, we had already been riding, and we ended up riding all the way from that midpoint all the way into Houston through like 6 more hours of thunderstorms, and just like dog tired, like the shittiest fucking riding you could possibly go through, like every type of weather. And we went from there all the way here side by side. And like that's happens to be the same person that I called when his member was doing something I didn't appreciate. And had I not gone through that riding experience with him, I don't think I would have had the relationship built with him to be able to say, like, I'm going to give this guy the grace to call his leadership and find out. And that president just happened to spend fucking 1,000 miles riding side by side with me through the worst conditions.
That's how that works. Yep.
Yeah, nobody remembers oh man, you remember this one day where we went on this cool little ride and we had no issues and everything was great? Yeah.
You mean like riding the back roads in Jacksonville and you end up falling in a rut, jumping the bike?
That wasn't me. I kept my shit upright. That's all I'm saying.
He talks about that all the time.
Yes, he does, and I don't think I'll ever let him forget it, because
Good.
I mean, I think he's a better veteran than I'm going to be. I think he was a better serviceman than I can be. I just think he's a lot better than me in a lot of ways. But that motherfucker dumped his bike that one time in front of me. It don't matter what the fuck else he did. Remember that one time 30 fucking years ago?
And that's how that goes.
And I will be there at his funeral and be like, man, he's a great man. He's a great father. Couldn't ride his motorcycle shit. But yeah, he was a great guy. And
so you're automatically assuming you're going to outlive him. Is that what I hear?
Well, yeah.
Oh, I got one other thing on leadership, man. So you know how it is. If the leader is bitching, let's say he's bitching up to level 5. That means his boys are going to start bitching up to level 10, guaranteed. So that's one thing leaders need to be careful of when they're running their chapters. Whatever you do, bad habits especially, will be amplified within the chapter.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Everybody, there's somebody that's always watching. Somebody's always watching what you're doing. It's like raising children. I don't want to like minimize, club members to children, but it is. If I'm cussing in front of my kid's gonna go out to school and start saying cuss words. It's exactly like you said it, Jim. They're gonna do it like you did times 2.
I don't know. I think we can solve a lot of issues, but it really just comes down to figuring out one, like, if you're a problem. If everybody else seems happy but you're the only one bitching, then maybe take a look at the man in the mirror.
Well, hold people accountable. If they're bitching, then okay, why are you bitching? Okay, now that we know your bitch, what are you going to do to fix your part of it?
That's such a big thing too, is like, don't bitch just to bitch. Like, if you're not gonna come to me with a problem and a solution, then sit down and fucking think before you talk.
Yeah. And if you can't come up with a solution, be like, guys, I've thought about this and I don't know really how I would go about fixing it. And I need guidance on this. There's a way to go about it instead of just saying, well, this club fucking sucks. Y'all need to fucking fix yourselves. Because, and I hope my fucking dad doesn't listen to this, but he had a fucking line and it fucking stuck with me to this day. It says, man, if you ever think that you're the only one that's right and the whole world's fucked up, maybe you need to reevaluate the situation. And the same goes for your club, but I don't know. I'm just some clubless fuck. You ain't got to listen to me anyway.
I got a new topic for you if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
Oh, let me bring one more thing up on this topic. Yeah, going back to the different metrics. There's some things that you might see as a success in a different charter or a different organization, and you might see certain things as a failure, to where one success does not always lend itself to make success in other departments easy. And to give like a full example to that, to kind of make it easier to wrap your head around that idea, like, my charter is seen as successful in one department to where we are like very tight knit, to where like there's no way you could drive a wedge between me and the other members in my chapter or my charter, and any of them, like, we're bound together. One of the things that makes us so tightly bound is that we spend a lot of time secluded, with our charter, with our families. My kid knows his uncles like as their, he thinks they're his family, like family. That's how he thinks of them. And that a lot of times comes from the seclusion, and we do a lot of stuff on our own, and that's seen as a huge success outside looking in. But one of the places where it leads us to struggle is gaining new membership, because we're not like in this mentality of we're going to grow, and we're a pretty small charter, legally speaking. But it's, so you could look at it as a failure that if we lost 2 or 3 guys, do we have enough people to maintain a charter? But that selectiveness, that slow prospecting period that we have, the feeling that we don't need to add more to the mix, that makes us successful in one area and it makes us struggle in another. So that example, I use that to you can look at other charters that are operating and see something they're doing as a failure, but take a moment and evaluate them as a whole, because there might be a portion of what they're doing that is more beneficial to their organization than it is to yours. So before judging a chapter on its successes or its failures, try and get a full perspective of what that chapter is going through. What are the individual members' opinions? Because there's a reason that they maintain a chapter. There's a reason that their leadership is there. There's a reason people haven't left. What is that reason? What are you not seeing? From the outside looking in, it's always easy to form an opinion, but it's not always easy to form a well-rounded opinion.
That's true.
So what else you got for us, Jim?
All right, next topic. Clubhouses. Are they worth it?
That's a big old fuck no for no shame.
Clubhouses suck, but some places they're necessary. Like if like I got guys down in Portland, and they don't have the ability to just go bar hopping like I do up here, because bars are very anti-club in Portland. So the motorcycle scene in Portland consists of going to clubhouses. So some places they're necessary. I would say if it's not absolutely necessary, stay the fuck away from that headache.
Now, why is that?
Why is it a headache?
Why?
Man.
Come on.
That's money and time, dog.
Pen and paper, boys. This is going to be a long one.
Now, first of all, before you start, I agree with you, but lay it on me.
Well, there's so many different factors. One, you're never going to have equal participation from everybody in the organization unless you diligently structure what the responsibilities of the members are and make sure it's distributed fairly. So you're either going to have some people that are contributing and others that are just riding on that contribution, or you're going to have leadership that is overworked trying to maintain those schedules. For instance, the bathroom always needs to get cleaned. If it's the same guy cleaning the bathroom every single week, he's going to get fucking burnt out at cleaning that bathroom every single week. Now, there's a solution to that. You make a schedule of this person's in charge of this duty this day, and then you rotate that schedule. But now you got to keep people on that schedule.
Watch Bill.
Yeah. Then you have the issue of money. So if your charter or chapter is not large enough to sustain the payment of that clubhouse on its own through the collection of dues or sales of merchandise, then you are constantly exposed to having to open your clubhouse as if it's a bar or a business.
Yep.
And that in itself invites so much drama, so many headaches, so much conflict that you may not see initially, but it will happen. And then when people get tired of coming to your establishment, then all of a sudden you're not opening up to motorcycle clubs anymore. You're opening up as an after hours and inviting everybody in there. And then that becomes an even slipperier slope, because now you invite a group of people that are not into the same ethics, the same code of conduct as you are. I mean, there's a plethora of things that will go wrong with a clubhouse if you let it. Now, here's the thing: you can do it successfully, but it takes diligence, it takes discipline, and those things get tiring after a while, and you end up more times than not being tied to that clubhouse versus tied to your motorcycle.
And
Yeah,
I think
there's
that's the key right there.
I think the saying was going like once you get a clubhouse, you stop riding because you got to host all these fucking parties to make a payment. You know, if you have a small club and your ambitions were a little too big when it came to the clubhouse itself and payments and the money that goes into that, because it's not just the payment, it's not just the rent. You know, you got electricity, you got all your utilities, maintenance, all that kind of shit, man.
Now, I would love to have a clubhouse. I absolutely would. Some of our chapters do, and some of them are fucking amazing clubhouses. Um, but if it's not done the right way, if we can't afford it just on dues and that sort of thing, then you're absolutely right. You start working not to maintain the brotherhood, but to maintain a clubhouse, and that's just bad juju all the way around.
I had a brother who used to. I got to kind of think about what he said. It was something along the lines of what would tear down brotherhood, and it was money, women, and there's one other thing, but I can't think of it. And they said everything that I've listed is underneath the roof of this clubhouse. So we have built this clubhouse on the foundation of what would be the devil to brotherhood, or the detriment to brotherhood. And we are in a constant battle to fight that off.
Yeah,
Because you are inviting all those things in there.
yeah, and then even if you can totally afford it, right? So you got this clubhouse, it's great, but then you have to convince the brothers in the chapter that, hey, let's leave this nice, comfortable clubhouse we have and go for a weekend ride. A lot of them are going to go, you know what? I think I'd rather just stay at the clubhouse. And then the next thing you know, you're not riding anymore. And we know what that leads to.
Yeah. Man, this turned out, I was all jazzed, man. I thought we were just going to bullshit this hang out. I'm all sad and shit now. This is.
Why are you sad you don't have a clubhouse? You're in the best position ever. You ride your motorcycle wherever the fuck you want to. You don't have to worry about club politics. You don't have to worry about dues. You're in the, if you want to ride your bike, do not join a motorcycle club.
I
If
would,
you, yeah,
You
I
can
would
ride your bike so much more freely.
I would disagree with you. So freely, yes, I will say that. But, and this also depends on the region, right? But I would disagree with you in that aspect because I don't know. I don't know how to put this politically correct, so I'm not going to say it. But at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do. And you can choose to do it tactfully or disrespectfully. And I would hope that you would choose the lesser and ride your fucking bike. Now, I understand that certain clubs in certain areas and certain levels have their own unique difficulties that a 99% club or a mountain pop club wouldn't understand or even acknowledge or identify. But I mean, I never had a fucking problem. If I wanted to ride my motherfucking scoot, I went. You know, I flew my patch in 2 of the surrounding states, all up and down California, and I never had an issue once. But I wasn't a fucking dickhead about it. So when I was asked by somebody who may or may not claim an area, say, hey, what the fuck are you doing down, up this way? It's, hey, man, I'm just fucking riding. I'm just having a good time. I mean, no disrespect. I'm just fucking off doing my thing. And 10 times out of 10, it ended with, all right, man, cool. Well, here's my phone number. If you could, call me the next time. You're going to be up here, so I don't have a bunch of motherfuckers calling me, and now I have to come find you and investigate. Cool, not a problem, man.
yeah, the phone call helps.
Yeah, phone call really helps. But that, like I said, I understand, like, at your level, it is not the same as where I was coming from.
So why do you want to be in a club? Again, why? Punk rock, why do you want to be in a club?
Dude, fucking accountability, man. I am such a piece of shit. Like, as a man, Um, I'm a great husband. I'm a great father, but I
Well,
don't,
hell, why would somebody want you in their club then?
because when I'm held accountable and I represent something bigger than myself, I have that in the back of my mind that, I have to pick my words carefully. I have to watch how I move. I will have to, shit, I have to watch how I ride my fucking bike, because that might piss somebody else off, or that might draw negative attention to a nation that I represent. And now I have to become a better version of myself. It forces me to be a better person and a better brother and a better biker and a better dad and husband. I have to be better, because how am I going to expect that out of my brothers if I can't do that myself? And right now, I'm using Four for the Road as my accountability. Even though I don't use you guys, I don't see you guys every day, I still use Four for the Road as my accountability, because if I post something stupid on Facebook and one of our followers has me on, as a friend on their Facebook, they're gonna be like, man, punk rock's kind of fucked up. I wonder if that's how everybody feels on that page, or if everybody shares that same point of view and shit like that. So that's in a nutshell.
Why are you in a club, Jim?
Well, it's a lot of different reasons. I can tell you what started it with this club was the history. I mean, everybody knows I'm a history nerd, and any kind of looking into motorcycle club history, you're going to run across the 13 Rebels. There's no getting around it. So that's what started me with this particular club. But what I really like about the club life is, um, well, without saying the word brotherhood, but that's really what it is. I am close to these guys. They're close to me. Uh, I can travel the whole world with these guys. I can do whatever. I can be me around these guys, and you can't say that. You can't do that with your neighbor. You know, if I was myself, truly myself, with some of my neighbors, they'd lose their shit. But with my brothers, they accept me, and I accept them, and I can't find that anywhere else.
Yeah, man. It's accepting people for their faults, because it's really easy as a neighbor. It's really easy to look at people and be like, oh, well, I do the same fucked up shit, but I do it in my backyard. I don't do it in my front yard, or I do it in my living room. I don't do it in my garage where everybody can see.
Well, we know what you're doing.
Oh, you won't find out come to spring.
So no
Yeah,
shame, right back at you, man. Why are you in a club?
he
Why
likes hugging
am
dudes.
I in a club? To tell you the truth, right now I don't even know. Um, I thought I knew. I thought I knew, and I thought it was like a really solid answer. But a lot of that stuff has come into question for me recently. I can tell you why I started. Why I joined a club, and I've gone over this on the podcast before, but just to kind of sum it up, it was more of a service to something larger, um, the ability to make an impact, and just as a need to improve something and make my mark on something in like even the smallest way. Why my club specifically? Um, honestly, the history and the tradition and the lineage of the club and all the things that make my club great, those came later. The initial thing that brought me to this club specifically was just that I had brothers that I had, served with and deployed with and lived in a tent in the desert with, that ended up finding this club first. And then that ended up being the group that I hung out with. And those members of that charter ended up being the people I enjoyed spending my time with. So it just made sense organically for me. And then, everything else kind of came after. And the question of like, why do I still do it? It's a question I've been asking myself a lot lately. Um, this has been probably the hardest year of club life for me. You know, um, my best friend and closest brother was killed. Um, I have lost other very close brothers to me. Uh, So, and it makes me wonder, what's the point of continuing to make more relationships? It's one more person that could potentially get taken away. One more candlelight vigil I have to go to, one more funeral that I have to attend, and it's a struggle. And you bring up brotherhood, and it's one of the things that I look at is I have brotherhood already. There's people that I consider my brothers who I know if I put the patch away tomorrow would still be there. I have legitimate family that the club has given me. So why do I keep doing it? And I haven't found that answer yet. I don't know why, but there's something. There's something there that makes me keep doing it, because as many times as I like throw my hands up and say I'm done with this shit, I still show up. And it's not even just showing up, I'm still doing the same extra shit that I've always done. I still care about the success and the failure of the organization. So there's something that holds me here, but I just can't narrow it down. I don't know what it is. And as much as I hope that nobody has to go through the summer that I just went through, I hope that everybody has a time where they have to reflect on this, because it's very easy to romanticize the club life. It's very easy to, stand on a soapbox and talk about it when everything's gone well. And it's only through moments of adversity that you really find out what you're capable of. You really find out if everything that you've been preaching about over the years is really going to hold true. You find out if people are going to actually take care of the families. That's one thing that I know will happen, is that if something happens to me, I know that my nation will step up and they'll take care of my family, and they'll put me in the ground in the best possible way. If I get locked up, I know that there'll be money on my books, because I've seen that. So through all this adversity, I have seen what true brotherhood is. There are hidden gems all throughout my nation that have popped up and reached out to me, and done things for me and for my brother's family that just really went above and beyond. So there's a silver lining to all the bullshit, and maybe that's what keeps me here, is just knowing that there's like these little hidden gems and all the shit. But it's hard.
Do you have hope for
Fucking sunshine
future?
and rainbows.
Do you have hope for the future, creating new contacts and new family that will be hidden gems just the same way?
It's hard. It's really hard, man. Just especially recently. Um, so my brother Tommy that was killed, his bike was down in Las Vegas, and it was in the police impound for a while, and then we got it out of impound. My brother Nyquil went and picked the bike up. It was sitting in his garage, and his girlfriend was supposed to grab some of the luggage off the bike to bring it back up here to Washington to give to his wife. And it ended up being the weekend that she was down there in Vegas to go pick that stuff up. They were riding their bike back home from being out that night and got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh, jeez.
And then so Nyquil's sitting in the hospital in a coma for weeks. And we're all sitting there thinking he's going to pull through. And then he doesn't. Just one day he just succumbs to his injuries. That's I've been through stuff with that brother. We've slept on the floor together in Louisiana for days. Just struggled through shit together. And I don't know, it's hard because there's always going to be loss. And but part of you thinks like, if you don't let any more people get that close to you, maybe the next one won't hurt as bad.
I can see why you'd think that, but think of all the people that you're there for right now, and you might not even realize it 100%. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people probably look to you, and I know that's kind of a roundabout way of looking at it, but you know, it's a two-way street with brotherhood.
Yeah. Oh, that's part of the reason that it's that factors into every decision that I make. You know, what am I taking away from the people that I have that put their faith in me, that lean on me for stuff? The people that I've gotten close to, because you do owe a responsibility to every person that you come in contact with because of this life. And don't join a club taking it lightly. Especially as you move up. Like as you start to really get deep into some of these clubs that have been around forever. Some of these clubs that aren't going anywhere. And when you join one of these organizations, take that responsibility to be a steward of that organization and of that brotherhood seriously, because every decision that I make in my personal life, from the moment I put that patch on till I die, that affects the club in one way or another. I have if I leave, if I move, buy a new house, if I'm not close enough to my charter to be able to continue to lead that charter, then what happens? Those are things that I have to consider in every situation. So if you're really serious about this, and this club is really your family, then you'll make those decisions with the club in mind. And it's probably one of the reasons that I'm still here, because I do look at this as my family. It's not for the next relationship. It's not for the next guy that's coming into the club. It's for every person that I have built a bond with over the years, that I've already established that relationship with. I'm responsible in one way or another to that person and for that person.
And don't you think that they feel the same way about you? They're responsible for you.
I think that the ones that matter do feel that way. And not everybody is ever going to see things the way NoShame sees things. Not everybody's going to take it as seriously as some people, and that's okay. But yeah, the ones that I'm closest with, they see me the same way I see them.
Well, no shame.
We
I just gotta tell you, I really look up to you for how you've handled this past year. And you're one hell of a man, and one hell of a patch member. I gotta tell you that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And to everybody on staff, everybody's helped me in one way or another. And I appreciate this group of people for helping me get through this shit, and continuing to give sage advice and pushing me to continue on down this road. It means a lot, from to everybody on staff.
Well, I'm glad I can be the staff's punching bag.
You're good at it.
A lot of hands-on experience, Yeah, man. I think that's the wrap on this episode.
Ken doesn't want to talk about how he's giving away bicycles, but I'm going to talk about it because while we were in this episode, I had a virtual vote within my charter, and we're going to donate one of the bikes to you, one of your little orphan children.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'm sure the poor kids of America appreciate you and your nation.
So what organization is that you have, Ken, that's putting all that together? Let's talk about that.
All right, motherfuckers.
What's the name of that?
All right, so motherfuckers.
Take his hat off.
Hat back. First of all, put the hat back on. That's too much glare.
Dude, shut the fuck up. You got like 9 chins hanging out underneath your fucking beard. I ain't trying to hear your bullshit right now.
Yeah, look at that hair. Look at it.
Yeah, look at this hair. I got hair, motherfucker. There's just not a lot of it. So before fucking geriatric Jim decided to take shots across the bow, Black Sales Supply Company. Yeah, you like that, motherfucker?
That's all you got.
Yeah, Black Sales Supply Company, SAILS, right? Like pirate shit. We are taking every sale that we make, but it was between the 1st of October and Black Friday, which is next Friday coming up. We're going to be purchasing motorcycles. We're going to be purchasing bicycles for needy children, underprivileged families, rather. And I'm going to be putting out on my Instagram rather soon on how to nominate a family. I've already had a bunch of donations towards this. We've got 5 bikes total, 7 total. Sorry, that we're giving away, which was a little bit more than I wanted. That was my goal, and I'm really happy about that, and I'm really appreciative of the community stepping up and helping me in this way. But we can still do a little bit more. So again, by Black Friday at midnight is when those donations stop. But if you don't want anything from the store, also, I have donation cards that are available too. So there's no reason, motherfuckers. I thought of that. So.
And what's the name of it again?
That's blacksalessupply.com. That's black, SAILS, supply.com.
I just love that voice, man.
Do you guys actually make sales?
I make flags.
You said earlier, you said 5% of all the sales that you make, or 10% of all the sales that you make. So you guys are actually making black sales.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure the flags that we make could be used as sails on like little people boats.
Well, it's got to be black, dude. Where are you going with that?
I don't like where you're going with that, sir. This is not the time, Jimothy. This is not the time. So.
All right, black sales. Go there.
All right, yeah. So go buy some shit or go donate some shit. That'd be really awesome, you guys. But other than that, you guys got anything for our listeners before we take off out of here?
You guys are cool. Oh, check out the TikTok page. There's a sweet video of fucking punk rock trying to fuck kids.
What the fuck? No, that is not. Check out the fucking TikTok. It's not me fucking kids or attempting to. Jesus Christ. You can't have fucking shit around you people, man. All right. So
what do you mean, you people?
You know what the fuck I mean, you people.
It's because this club is notoriously black, isn't it?
See, there it is. Now it comes out, doesn't it?
Guys, thank you so much for your fucking time.
Preach was right all along.
Oh, that was low. That was fucking low. Even for you, man. You're short as shit. That's fucked up.
We're the same height, motherfucker.
Are we really? You're 6'4"? So yes. Hey, seriously, guys, though, thank you for your time, guys. I know this is kind of a last minute episode we put together, and this is actually a pretty fucking heavy one that I hope our listeners really take to heart and really think about that. Because I know, NoShame, you gave me a lot to think about, looking at pursuing membership in a club. That's some heavy shit that I don't think a lot of people think of, or when they do, they're like, oh yeah, it's I'm all about it until it happens. And, I just want to thank you for opening up and really being authentic with us here and sharing that pain that you're going through.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week, guys. I'm going to try to find a way to not make this awkward, and we'll catch you later.